Okay, we are officially live. Today is Wednesday, March 17th. We are number 20 for the Reflection Artist Live podcast, and we have our special guest, Rocco Caparosa and Rosso. See, I messed that up. I said it like 5 times too. So Rocco Caporaso, he is president of Gliptone Detailing Products out of New York. For those of you who don't know, we're going to get to know Rocco and get to know more about the company Gliptone. Rocco's been in the industry for roughly around 40 years. He's been owner and president of Gliptone Products for roughly around 23 years. However, Gliptone itself has been around since 1947. So they've got a benchmark in the industry for 74 years of helping pioneer as more of what we call a silent giant in the detail industry. So I want to go ahead and get into talking to Rocco and thank him for coming on, but definitely want to get into his background, how he got started in his early years leading up to being the president of such a large recognized company. So Rocco, thank you for being on, and I'll hand it over to you.
Well, Justin, thank you for having me. And I guess special thanks to your associate, Mr. Clint Hintz, also for that reference to the sleeping giant.
Yes.
He said it was okay for me to actually use that, and shared it with my team, and we really like it a lot. You know, we've been at it a long time, and interestingly enough, there still are a lot of people who don't know who we are. Sometimes they come into the Gliptone booth at SEMA, and they may even be looking at Gliptone for the first time, even though we've been out there a long time. And so anyway, that's Sleeping Giant. I like that.
Good, good. It's well owed because you guys, do a lot and have a lot to offer that is premium. So that, and we'll of course get into that. So background on you. How did you get started? Where did all this come from in your early
Well,
years?
seems like a few lifetimes ago, actually, the start of this. Um, I was 19 years old when I actually got a wrong number phone call that put me into the distribution business. But backing up even a little bit more on the detailing side of it, at 13 years old, my dad had a limousine business, and my mom and dad worked real hard at that business. First car was probably a late 70s formal Cadillac sedan, and in those days that was like the smaller one. Today, it's the stretch
Yeah,
limousines and
yeah.
all that type of stuff. So
That was the standard for that model of that limousine. Just enough, but it was still a Cadillac.
yeah, and it had those skirts that half covered the white walls, so you'd have to get your hands up there and
Such a
bust your
pain in the
knuckles
butt.
trying to scrub the white walls. And so that was my entree into the detailing industry, was maintaining those cars. They worked real hard. Ultimately, that business grew quite a bit, and the fleet grew, and there were more cars added. So um, looking after those cars was my entree into detailing. Ironically, Gliptone, which I would have had nothing to do with the company at that point other than being a kid detailing cars, it was the only brand of product that was allowed to be used on my dad's cars. So
So he was a fan of the brand, and then that
yes,
went down to you as well.
yeah. So Gliptone was a local favorite. It was a New York based company. Certainly, everybody on Long Island and the New York metro market knew the Gliptone brand. It was kind of like our cult secret. Excellent quality product, and there were pockets of people, I guess, around the world that knew it, but it started here, and this was really where it had its strongest following. um, my career as a detailer, kind of, I say career, I mean, I was still really young, kind of evolved into a power washing business, and ultimately it was there was painting and sandblasting that got mixed in there. So I had an official registered company by the name of Dirt Busters at the age of 17, 18, 19, that was offering those services. And that's where that phone call came that one day. If I don't know if you want me to bore everybody
Yeah,
with that
yeah, no,
story.
go into it. Yeah, please. Now, were you still detailing cars at the same time in regards to your pressure washing
the,
business?
the
Was that still a thing
detailing
there?
the detailing was it not detailing the way people today would recognize detailing. It would have been more of the pressure washing, fleet wash kind of um,
Production style.
production style, quickie, wash bucket, you know, wash and clean the car type of stuff. Just a circle of friends and family and people my dad would know in the limousine business, you know, that sort of stuff.
And did you have products that still contributed to your pressure washing business from Gliptone that you were able to exercise using?
Actually, no, back in those days, Gliptone was about, I would say the whole range was probably 12 part numbers.
Ah.
And we would utilize the soap and the wax, the cleaners, you know, so maybe there was only about 3 or 4 part numbers that we were using out of the range of 12 products that were being produced at that time. But so yeah, with the company being named Dirt Busters, ironically, there was a detailing shop that had that exact same name on the South Shore of Long Island. So I'm up on the North Shore, and we're registered. We're an official business. The company is in the phone book, and this detail shop was at a trade show, and he inquired about being a distributor for, at the time, it was a nationally recognized brand of product, and he wanted to be a distributor, and they sent a representative to New York looking for him, right? Yeah, because his business was called Dirt Busters. If the guy's watching today, I mean, you know, it's just the way it happened. And
things happen for a reason, right? You know, look at your position and look what you've done, you know, so I mean, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, we used to get some of this guy's wrong number phone calls, I'd have to admit. And back in those days, you know, we were kind of jokesters. So we would get a phone call from somebody that's looking to get, you know, or maybe they're upset because their boat didn't get detailed and it was supposed to get detailed. And what are we thinking? And we would say, you know what? You're such a pain in the neck customer, man. We purposely didn't end up coming to do that. Yeah. So you know what? I gave you all these customers in the marina. You won't do another time. Yeah, promises. So anyway, this day the phone call comes in and he's looking for this guy, Dirt Busters, and he says, you know, we have a meeting scheduled. I flew here from Dallas, Texas. And I said, you know, I know the company that you're here to see, but you know, I'd really like to transition my business into a distribution business. Would you be interested in coming to visit with me first? And he was like, you know, the company flew me up here. I'm supposed to meet with this guy. I said, look, I promise we'll have a meeting. If you don't like me, I'll take you right to where these guys' shop is. And so he reluctantly agreed, but we had that meeting. We really hit it off. Next thing I know, I fly down to Texas where this company was based, and I meet with the team there, and we hit it off really well, and actually borrowed the money, probably $7,500 at that time. I borrowed to get my first opening order, and started going around hustling, selling detailing products, and that was the start. And I was really committed. I mean, I was a hustler back in those days. And this was at 19 years old. So the first year of all the new distributors that company put on, I was their rookie of the year. So I did more business than any of the new distributors.
And probably the youngest.
That was like the big deal too, right? I got rookie. I was in fact, I think I stayed the youngest pretty much throughout the whole tenure until, I mean, second year was number 10. Celebrated for number 10, third year was number 5. And in the fourth year with these guys, I was actually their number 1 world's largest distributor, because each year I would set up a route, right? Hire somebody to run that route and then go build another one. The next year, hire a guy to run that route. So it was 4 years and 4 trucks on the road. I mean, I was on fire.
Now, was this something that you just kind of stumbled into figuring out the process, or was this like a full-on game plan, business plan that you already had kind of envisioned?
You know what? It wasn't. It's kind of like funny to say that I was getting tired of being the guy that was cleaning the cars or pressure washing, or I was only doing it like for a few years as a kid, right? But I was already getting tired of it. And I started to think, you know, I'm not going to do this forever. Funny, right? I'm 19 years old. I'd rather transition into a business where I could sell something and make money that way. And so that's that's what I did. And, you know, today, I mean, Gliptone Gliptone came obviously a little bit later. So I was a distributor for this particular brand, continue to grow the distribution business. And I acquired a couple of my local competitors along the way. And that's really where, you know, really where some of the transition happened for me, because one of those acquisitions was a guy that was manufacturing car wash tunnel chemicals. And so that was really my first entree into the manufacturing business, right? He had a whole range of today what would be considered antiquated chemistry, but it was the soaps, the drying agents, and everything that the car wash tunnel would use. And I was intrigued with that side of the business. And so we started to develop a lot of our own. The distribution company, by the way, was called Chemco.
Okay.
So it had transitioned from Dirt Busters to Chemco distributors. And Chemco was the distribution company. And we just kept growing. After those first years, we continued to grow, and that manufacturing transition for me really opened up my eyes to some stuff. And then later,
So you're doing both. You were manufacturing your own line along with the Gliptone line, or were you adding to it along with your routes?
well, the Gliptone acquisition came in '97, so there was a couple of years though. I bought that tunnel car wash soap guy in '95. So for 2 years, I was really starting to get my head around the whole manufacturing concept, and said, you know, and it was growing. And we didn't only have the car wash tunnel stuff. We developed a whole range of detailing products to add on to these other brands. I mean, by that time, we had expanded into carrying some of the other common brands that people would know, like 3M and McGuire's and some of the other names.
Household names.
Yeah, and it was more like even all the ancillary items, towels, brushes.
Yeah.
So
it makes it more convenient because you have people asking for it, and if they're demanding it, why not supply it, right?
Exactly, a one-stop shop type of deal. That's what. So there's route trucks were filled with all those types of items, and you know, it was when the more I made more products that I felt were a fit for the detailing industry, and the more I started to get excited about the manufacturing side of it, and our business started to grow, and our range of products that we were making were growing. I was looking for a building. I wasn't looking to buy a manufacturer. I was looking to buy a building and set up a large manufacturing operation. The plant manager of Gliptone was a friend, and he was kind of helping me, and maybe even thinking about if I bought the building, he would like leave Gliptone and come work for me and run my manufacturing operation. Ironically, over a beer one night, it was like, hey, why don't you just buy Gliptone? You know, we got a factory that's already set up. We've got a brand name that's been around since 1947, really premium quality stuff. And long story short, that's what ended up happening. Bought Gliptone.
Now, did you already have a good in with the person who was in charge of Gliptone at that point to start making these arrangements and these agreements?
Well, it was ironically, I was one of the brands of product that were being sold on our route trucks was the Gliptone products. So I knew the people, I knew the original family. And during the time I had my distribution business, that company had just recently changed hands. And the new owners were more like in there for investment reasons. They weren't necessarily, passionate, living and breathing the detailing wax industry necessarily. So when the idea was, and that's another whole long story. Well, we get into another time, but yeah, I mean, we ended up buying Gliptone, and today, I mean, it's been expanded to the point where we produce more than 600 formulas that we make here in our Ronkonkoma manufacturing facility on a regular basis. Products that touch the car wash tunnel industry. We make the full range of automated car wash tunnel products, professional detailing products. The range of the retail consumer products has been expanded to probably close to 60 part numbers or more at this point.
Wow. Now, you said when you got into cleaning your father's limousines, that was about only 12 part numbers at the time. By the time 97 came around and you acquired Gliptone, did they, of course, grow their part numbers, which I would think they would have by then? Or
Well, let's see, 97, when I bought the company, they were about 20 to 22 part numbers.
so nothing crazy. So you
No.
definitely contributed to
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah.
the
Big
growth
time.
of what you saw a void in the market for and continued to go after it.
No doubt. First thing I did, hired a chemist. We ultimately ended up breaking ties and going in a separate direction from that company that we had started out with, and started adding a lot of products that were missing, things that were the detailing industry was kind of yearning for, looking for at the time, and even still today. I mean, I feel proud and uh, just good about the fact that we've brought a lot of innovative things to the industry. Um, the our soft touch brand of towels, for example, as we don't manufacture the towels, but it was something that I saw at an international trade show that wasn't. They were commonly excuse me, they were commonly sold throughout Europe, but they were not in the United States automotive detailing industry yet. And that was like back in I don't know, I want to say it was maybe about 96 or somewhere around there, where that was just added into the distribution
You
side of what
saw
we.
an opportunity and that contributed to it be more exclusive for your brand, but complementing your brand at the same time.
Absolutely. And it was something that would help raise the bar, and we're
Yeah.
always looking for stuff like that, game changers, things that can contribute, uh, which, you know what, and I probably have said this to you in the past. If I haven't, and it can't be said enough times, thanks to you, Justin, for and others like yourself who contribute to the detailing industry. Because I got to tell you, in the early days, man, when I used to drive that route truck around, and then my route guys would drive it, the detailing people as a trade, they were not respected at the level that I always felt that they should have been. And it
Yeah.
was always a tough deal, man. It really was, because the car dealers weren't respecting those guys. The standalone detail shops would feel like they'd have not much of a choice but to do some wholesale work to keep the lights on. And it was abusive. I mean, they were getting paid $60 or $65 a car for rats. I mean, to really have to work on nasty cars. And, the more the industry has evolved, and with people like yourself that are providing education, training, raising the bar of the quality of what the industry as a whole is putting out now, it makes it exciting and profitable for detailers to be in this business and to be well compensated for the contribution that they make. So
100% agree. Yeah. It
that's
helps. That continued education from all different aspects. Anybody who's involved with that is just helping raise the bar overall.
yeah, and we try. Look, I attribute a lot of the success that I had along the way in those, especially in those early years, to making that contribution, right? As much as I knew about detailing and as much as I was committed to continuing to learn more and help, I would put that into my customers. I wasn't a sales guy, and I would teach my route guys, you're not a sales guy. Okay. You're a consultant. In most cases, these
Yep.
guys came from the detailing business. And I would tell them, look, don't be a salesman. Be the detailer that goes into the shops and say, you know what? I'm not a salesman. I don't know how to make you buy something if you don't want to buy that thing, right? But here's what I do know. In
Mhm.
some cases, like one of the guys, Doug Calley, who's been with me for 30 plus years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a team of people. I want to give
Hey,
these
you
guys
got a
credit.
family. That's what it is,
That's
because they've been with you for so long.
it's exactly right. And this particular guy has been there from from the early days. And I remember having this conversation with him, like, dude, you're one of the best detailers that I know. So don't be a sales guy. Go out there and show these guys. And he's been doing it ever since, and he's still on our team. And that was the commitment that we made, was to help raise the bar. And as a result of making our customers more successful, we became more successful. And today, that's what we do worldwide. Gliptone products are being sold throughout USA, Canada, Central America, South America, India, Middle East, throughout Europe, Australia. So we've got distribution in all these places. Today, when we put new distributors on, it's because we feel there's a fit to our family of our staff, our team, and our family of distributors. One of the latest guys, Jay Hymas out there in Utah. Jay, if you're listening, man, proud of that guy. These are some people that I come across sometimes and I say to myself, wow, this guy is servicing his customer base the same way I used to do it, and I train my people to do it. And those are the guys I want to join our family. Those are the guys that I want to be part of Gliptone's growing family of distributors worldwide that really are passionate and care about the industry, care about raising the bar.
And you've got the track record that leads by example. And that's the biggest thing is, being a leader and you going down that road and being part of that. When they come to you for questions, you've got answers because you've been down that path. Now, with a lot of your routes and with you, having Gliptone, did you exercise a lot of those techniques and strategies that you had as a route driver yourself to help grow the business for the routes overall for Gliptone?
No question. I mean, and everybody on my team was kind of shared that same mindset. That philosophy is we're employing these techniques that's one of the reasons by the time in really back to my 4th year in business, when we had 4 routes and ultimately we got up to 9 routes before we transitioned completely out of the distribution business purely into manufacturing and setting up distributors all over the world. It was teaching them to be more successful by servicing their customers the same way we did it in the early days. And that team, I mean, this May, I'm going to be married 29 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. To the same girl that back then I was dating throughout all of this, and she stuck with me. She's in the business.
She's been on the roller coaster with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I've had, we've had our share of me getting gallons of product thrown at me and stuff like that. And oh yeah. But you know what? We're still together. We're a team. Our daughter's in the business with us. My son Nicholas is in the business. Jay Marina, who you see this background behind me with the graphics. You think I would have known how to do that? No, Jay is a genius, and he's been with me for 20 years. Ironically, our VP of sales, Tom Coniglio, who's been in this business 30 plus years, Tom was the VP of sales for that company that I started out with in those early days. And he joined our company a few years ago. Everybody that comes on board as an employee or as a distributor is kind of like detail-minded, detail-centric. And I think that's what's special. And people see it, they go to the trade shows, they make their way around. It's almost like walking into an auto parts store. There's hundreds of choices of car care products. SEMA is like that, right?
Yeah.
But usually by the time they come back to the booth 2 or 3 times, we can see that they notice and they're figuring it out from our team that we got a special group of people. And it's same with you, man, same with what you're doing. And I know of a lot of guys that are very passionate about this industry. You could see it in their enthusiasm, where, how they love what they're doing, detailers that really love what they're doing versus the guys that are just doing it for money, because that really don't work. If you're passionate, it works.
The passion will drive you faster and harder than anything else. That's for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah. Sometimes it's also an evil that will keep you with your blinders on, but that's okay. That's why there's a lot of good mentorship in this industry that will help broaden that spectrum to not be that way. With everything you got going on, I mean, you still spending a lot of time in the lab when it comes to developing these products? Are you still on the forefront of approval and quality control of what you're looking for, along with all the R&D that goes into it, you being a big part of it?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I had some light chemistry in high school, right? So I wasn't a chemist by school. but
Add the chemical to the water. Don't do the opposite, right?
yeah, no, but I'll tell you what, if this desk is filled with pilot formulations right now, I'm passionate about it. From when I first bought Gliptone and hired our first chemist, I was over that guy's shoulder constantly. And I've had, chemists are like attorneys. They're, from the standpoint of, they have their specialties. Some guys are like soap and detergent specialists, and other guys are emulsion specialists. Other guys are abrasive technology, is really their thing. And over the years, I feel fortunate to have had exposure to some really good quality chemists that have worked for me. And but I'm in the lab as much as I can be. I mean, I've got a bench chemist that I'll go ahead and mix up and give a pilot, of what I think theoretically how the product should work with certain ingredients, pass it off, get my little bottle, go outside, work still myself, try the product. It's funny, like before COVID, about a year and a half ago, I had a couple of guests in what our Pan Asia distributor, Moses Dayan. Moses is from a place called Hyderabad. Moses, and I'm gonna just, Moses is struggling with something right now, a colon cancer thing he's battling. So prayers for Mr. Moses from India, for whoever can help, send some prayers our way. But great guy. Him and another gentleman out of the Middle East came to visit, and in a weekend, we were benchmarking against another brand. I don't want to say what the brand is, but they were like, listen, we need this compound to cut these scratches. And we needed to, in so many passes of the buffing machine, it's got to be, those scratches need to be gone. And we want the paint finish to be as clear as possible. So, and they were saying, look, I got to be honest with you, Rock, your stuff is great, but right now you don't have this and you need this. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's do it. I was back and forth that weekend up in the lab myself with my bench chemist for probably 20 times. And we would go right back to the panel and we would buff, back up to the lab, back down. By the end of it, we had something. It was the development of our new Extreme Buff Clear product. But I mean, it's something I'm proud of. And that is, so I don't think I can ever break from that. Although when I'm out in the field visiting, if I'm riding with a new distributor and he's introducing me to his detail guys and I'm talking shop with them, I'm really excited about that. I feel like that's a comfortable place for me. But I'm equally as excited in the lab, knowing that we're working on birthing something new, something innovative, something different, and something that's going to make a contribution. So I'm in there as much as I can.
That's huge, because I mean, I shouldn't say not every company, but a good majority of, presidents or owners may not have the opportunities or just no care to want to get into the lab and be part of that R&D process to put their stamp of approval on it. They rely on a team, which there's nothing wrong with, but
right.
The fact that you're in there and you're putting your personal stamp of approval because you're seeing it from start to finish, on top of touching a lot of clients and routes, that's still something as a president is unique, and it's beneficial. And it says a lot of integrity for the business in general.
Well, thank you. I agree. And that's one of the things that make us, I think, unique, in that not just me being intimately involved in the chemistry side of it, but where I can sense, because I tweak something and I say, you know what, maybe it's 0.5% more of this or 0.5% less. And I go out there and I use the product, and I know what the ingredient is that's either doing what I want it to do or not doing what I want it to do. And then we're back in the lab again. And it's that sort of, relationship with the cradle to grave kind of, birthing the product, getting it out there, using it, putting it into the hands of our team. And again, I mentioned one of the guys, Doug, who's been with me a long time. I got some other really good, hardworking distributors out there too that do the same thing. But Mike Lenahan, another great guy in the middle part of New Jersey, hardest working distributor that we've got out there. Tom and Ryan here on Long Island. I mean, we got a lot of people that work hard, that care about this industry. And we're working on a lot of stuff right now. When I put this out there, I put it into their hands. Hey, they'll test it. give me the feedback, and that's how we put a product into the professional side of the business. And if it's working well there, eventually we might have an offset version of that product that gets added to the retail
Yeah.
product
Or if
offering.
you get a
So,
demand for something that, yeah, for that, then you listen and you make it happen. And that's where a lot of these guys that are detailers, that's one of the biggest things that I like that gets me going is that when I'm working with a company, just even as a detailer outside of all the industry stuff, if I know that from the top down, they are all in with like how you are with going to the lab and helping out and doing all that, all the way down to the distributor just trying to help you, that says a lot versus just a company that making products, putting distributors on the road just to turn a dollar. Because that right there is not, they're not looking out for your best interest. At that point, they're just looking out for their pockets. And I know there's not a lot out there that are like that, but there are still quite a few, and when we look at the entirety of the industry. So it means a lot. So when these detailers are picking and choosing their products, they need to understand that there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes, especially from the owner slash president himself, like in your position. And there's a good handful of that group as well, including you, that do that, which is awesome to see. And more of that needs to be common knowledge. So people, when they are purchasing, they make more of a conscious decision, just not on the product and its performance, but the source and how much goes into that.
yeah, agreed. And you know what? I'll tell you, thinking about that, I've been in this business a long time, and and there's a lot of good quality products on the market. Let's face it, and there's some passionate people that I respect. I respect a lot of my competitors that are passionate about the detailing industry, helping the detailing industry. And there's been some companies that have come along long after Gliptone. I mean, 1947 to now, and there's been companies that have been out there, and maybe there's some things that they do from a marketing standpoint that they've got us beat, and they've got the better way of getting the word out, and then they have, and they've been real successful with it. But after people start using Gliptone product, they understand that, and I understood it too pretty early on. The company's slogan since like the early 50s has been try it once, use it forever. It's on all our packaging. And people, after they get to know us, they look at that and they're like, you know what, dude, you guys got the right expression, man, there, because it's not just your products, although your products are like excellent, but the whole team, everything that you guys stand for. I can't, I mean, they might try a different product because of price or because of something that was advertised a real special way. But for the most part, they're sticking with us. We've got end user customers, distributors that have been with us since day one, and they're not going anywhere. I think it's because of what we bring to the table. And I'm still a young dude. I've got family that's like I said, that's in this thing with me. We're looking to continue to grow it. I have a lot of fun growing it. I'm real every time we crack into a new market, like last year, just before COVID struck, I was down in South Australia, and I almost didn't make it back. In fact, I was the last flight that made it out of Adelaide. Dude, it was like it was a crazy. In fact, my New York flight from LAX was canceled. I had to rent a car. I didn't ultimately have to drive because last minute they put the flight back on the board, and I was able to. I had to come back in the airport again, go back through security, and get on the plane. But the story what I wanted to share about that was that represented, and actually last year also, even back in February. So two big trips. One was India. And one was Australia. And when I'm talking to detailers in other parts of the world and understanding what they're up against and how passionate they are, it's exciting. It's exciting to bring our products to the new markets and to help somebody have a revelation on maybe they're doing something wrong, and now all of a sudden they figured it out, and they're using one of our products to accomplish that. And it's
Yep.
it's a great feeling. So that still does it for me, for sure.
Now with the pandemic and everything going on, obviously there was a lot of craziness. I understand that you saw an opportunity there as well with being able to provide some great products and redevelop under a new name, which is the Glip Sand
Right.
name, correct? And so go into that a little bit and tell me how what your thought process and how you got started with that, and then what you did end up developing.
Well, when I was on the flight back from that Australia trip, it was lonely. There wasn't a lot of people on the plane, and there were people in the airports crying, covering their heads with sheets. I mean, it was a rough experience. And I remember walking through JFK and hearing my footsteps with echoes and thinking, wow, you know, I might not be able to sell car care products for how long? I mean, my wife was really on the phone yelling at me because I should have left earlier to come home, but I'm not gonna, until I finish the job, I'm not coming
Yeah.
home. But I remember reflecting and thinking, you know, this could last a long time. What if if we're on lockdown and the dealers aren't selling cars, what are we going to do? So like many other products or companies, I should say, we got an FDA approval, an emergency FDA approval to make hand sanitizer. It was an FDA approved hand sanitizer, and we were doing really well with it. And I said, you know what, we're not going to just stop here with hand sanitizers. So we built out a whole range of what we call Gliptone sanitary solutions is how we refer to it. And today, and in a short period of time, I'd say about maybe 3 months, and I reached out to, I didn't have a chemist on staff or that was a specialist in antimicrobial technology, and some of the formulas that we were making, I don't know, unless you've got certain registrations, you can't make certain efficacy statements. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But we developed a range of products that were good on soft surfaces, leathers and vinyls that would give lasting antimicrobial protection to those surfaces. We have lots of car washes today that are still using those as a free service for all their full service customers.
Oh, very nice.
Hard surface cleaners, antimicrobial hand soaps, you know, just things that if we weren't going to be able to sell waxes and polishes, because back then, you know, we didn't know, that at least we'd have products that we felt would make a contribution, not just to the detailing industry, but to the world. And it's doing pretty good, I have to say.
Did you feel that space with diving into that side of it with the chemistry was a lot more strict or had a lot more restrictions?
Yeah, there's no question. And we had to reinvent ourselves from the educational standpoint of, first of all, learning about all these different viruses, you know, with Corona being an enveloped virus, and who knows what's an envelope virus compared to certain bacterias. And so we had to research cleansers that would use either quaternary ammonium compounds or hydrogen peroxide, chlorine bleach. I mean, you have your options of different alcohol and ethanol, and every one of them had their pluses and minuses. So I really dug into it, did my research on what I felt was going to make the best contribution relative to the detailing side of the business, automobile centric, creating sanitary products for, you know, for that side of the business. And of course, a lot of our distributors were like, you know, dude, I'm going into restaurants, I'm going into my dentist office, we had liquor stores that had our they were the only ones open.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you're at home and you have nothing else better to do, you know, and some of these relationships that people have at home, well, they have no choice but to drink in order to get through the day.
Dude, I probably drank more than I should admit here on this podcast. COVID lockdown, right? But it was it was a tough time, but that was, I would have to say, that was one really good, exciting thing that and our team rallied together. Unfortunately, we ended up furloughing some of our team, but we've brought everybody back. So at this moment, we're at 100% capacity.
Very nice.
Those of us that were still here were working on that Glipsand range. And so it was a great way for us to stay busy, keep our mind off of COVID, continue with the selling of products so we could stay in business. And that's really how it came to be. And I think it's going to be with us for a long time to come because products are selling well. So
yeah. And that's the thing, it's business, right? I mean, you produce the product so they can sell, but the flip side of that is to your point, it wasn't an easy category to get into. Like all the other things with the raw materials, the detailed products, and things like that. That's one side of it where you had chemists set up, but now you're bringing in a different chemist. You've got a lot more restrictions you're dealing with. It's almost easier for you not to even go that route. Just to say, yeah, forget it, we'll deal with it. But the fact that you still push forward with the little bit of resistance of the learning curve and made it happen, it's not necessarily always about the money. It was still being able to fill a void and represent your name with the quality and like others have done. And then you've got the major manufacturers that already make that stuff, right? Like the Germex and the sanitizer brands that are already producing that stuff. They were the ones that really, I think, capitalized on the pandemic, to say, versus someone like yourself that it was easier probably for you to just say, no, we're going to skip that, than it was to go into it with an investment and doing everything and still making it happen and being successful at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, there wasn't a lot much else to do, right?
Yeah.
And I cannot sit still. So that was the first part of it, right? I had to stay busy with something.
Correct.
The other part of it was I was thinking of my family of distributors, not just my family I had to feed, right?
Yep.
But my family of distributors that are out there, that at least if I can provide them with some product that they can, even if they've got to cross over into the restaurants or nursing homes, which we had some connections with there also, where we were able to sell some product. At least we can keep them busy and we can, keep them making some money. Part of the problem was those big names were not able to ship. I mean, they couldn't ship, the Lysols and the Procter and Gambles. And there's a lot of big companies that are in that space. Once those guys right now are back up to their full capacity and they're shipping and stuff like that, we're definitely going to be falling very far down on the list of names that they think about for those types of chemistries. But I think one of the things they'll remember is when they couldn't get those products, when the dealerships were opening up and their service departments, the service people were freaked out because they didn't want to get inside a customer's car and touch the steering wheel and touch the shifter. At least we were giving them something that they couldn't buy. I mean, you couldn't get wipes, couldn't get, all the stores were out of all that stuff. So we were filling what at the time was a void, and in the end, it worked out good for us.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, kudos to you guys for taking that opportunity and it being successful. And then, the backside is, let's just say the other brands come back to normal and dominate, which is fine, but you still have the Gliptone name on it, and your Gliptone customers are still going to be looking for that source through you guys. So either way, it's a win-win. The numbers may not be up there, but they may be up on the other stuff, and it all will come out in the wash, right?
That's it. And this year, we're off to a really good start. Numbers are really doing well. We're clawing our way back. Gliptone, we reached a milestone just last week with having registered for the first time in the history of Gliptone and the history of me a patent. So we got a patent pending on a new technique that I'm going to be excited to share. It's something that we're going to officially announce to the industry in the beginning of April, but it's exciting.
Just a couple of weeks away. Anticipation.
Yeah. I'm going to send you some of this stuff, and I'm going to want your honest opinion about it. And look, we've done a lot of heavy field work testing with this stuff. We wouldn't have spent the amount of money to have it searched and find it. We got a good pathway to receiving this patent. So we're looking forward to that. It was registered last week, and it has to do with a part of the detailing process that's often overlooked. Okay, everybody today is so focused, and sometimes, I think it's misplaced focus on the durability of these products. And we're all searching for that, right? All these different additives that we can put into our chemistry to make the products last longer. When you do a coating on a car that's 50,000 mile 2-year-old car, or maybe a 40,000 mile 2-year-old car, a 3-year-old car, how many hours do you spend on the actual coating application versus the other stuff? I mean, There's a
Yeah,
lot more.
not as long as you would on the correction, the prep, and all that.
Exactly. And anyway, for me growing up in this business, and one of the guys, and I don't know how many people watching this will know this guy. Hopefully many people do, but this guy by the name of Dennis Dean. All right, I got to give Dennis a lot of credit, because when my wife and I first started in this business, he had a training set up out in Denver, Colorado. We flew out there, and he was my guy. He was my mentor in those early days. And it was through that education. I mean, that was really what helped me to understand. You got to know what you're talking about, man. You can't just like show and tell things if you don't know, what the heck that it is you're doing. And I
Amen.
remember,
Amen to that.
but a lot of the emphasis was in the wash bay, right? The wash decontamination. So that's what this has to do with. Okay, it's a decontamination process that rids the vehicle of 100% of contamination. Okay, that I'm talking stuff that would be bonded because of hard water deposits, things like above the surface contamination, all the grease, soil, bugs, tree sap, every type of film, every type of contamination gets removed. So as quickly as possible, we get you to a place where you can start that paint correction with some peace of mind, knowing that this baby, this patient is purely
free and clear.
That's it. It's 100% clear. It's I'm going to start working on the paint. Now you do your job. I mean, you're the doctor, right? You're the doc. You got to diagnose that patient and make a determination what buffing pads or sandpaper or compounds or whatever. What's the prescription for this particular patient? But with this process, we help get you there, I think, a little faster, easier, and a little more peace of mind, that no matter what your next step is, at least you're working on something that you're not going to have to go back and fix something that you missed, because it's comprehensive, it's beautiful, and I hope it's a game changer.
That's awesome. That's exciting. Definitely look forward to seeing that. With with everything, are you guys hopefully going to shoot for, if all is well with SEMA, and trying to hope for that going on this year if we have the opportunity?
Yeah, well, we think so. We think so. We say we're hopeful, hopefully optimistic, or whatever the saying is there. There's some decisions that have to be made soon. And we are selecting our booth and doing all that stuff. So we're planning to be there. And I think it should be fine. I think there's a good chance that attendance might be affected this year because of it. There's still going to be maybe some people.
If it makes it the first year going back into it, then yeah.
But you know what? We're there to support the industry. If the show goes on this year, we'll be there. We'll take whatever precautions are required, and we'll be there. I don't know about some of the other, like there's Frankfurt Auto Mechanica this year also, right? I've got tickets to see Genesis in the UK, 2 concerts, man, in up in Leeds and in at the O2 in London. So I don't even know if I'm going to make that one, but traveling is going to be a little bit of a issue. So if
a little tricky, yeah.
But SEMA, I would have to say SEMA, and maybe some of the key car show events, because there's a lot of throughout the USA. There's a lot of events last year that were canceled. Some still went on, but we really chose not to do too many of them because our team felt uncomfortable about it, and we knew that we didn't want to seem insensitive to our end user family of end user customers that we thought. So we sat it out for the most part, and we're going to start coming back. What are you hearing from some of the other people in the industry about SEMA? It's
roughly about the same. Everybody's just kind of, sitting and waiting and seeing how things unfold for the rest of the country overall. I think every state is all a little different on their perspective of the pandemic and what they've experienced per state. Some aren't as bad as others, hence some in Florida where it's just we're like a whole different
Yeah,
country in the whole wide
I
world.
know.
We're our own country right now. We're the boot that just fell off that nobody can find, and we're just kind of floating along, doing our thing, and wide open. Governors drinking beers at freaking Bike Week. We're just, it's fun, but just don't come down here yet.
Well, my mother-in-law is down there for the she's a snowbird, so she's down there in Naples. My brother is down in Florida.
Yeah.
I talked to my brother Brian, and he's like, "Oh,
Hey, your brother lives here, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
He's like, what do you I'll tell him about some of the lockdown things. He's like, yeah, we don't know about any of that stuff. My kids are in school. Yeah, we just went to the beach.
I'm out to
like,
eat. Leave me alone.
yeah, dude, don't rub it in, okay? I don't want to. I like. Don't get me wrong. They're being cautious. I know in the community where my mother-in-law lives in Florida, they were being real cautious too. But she wasn't. I was telling her, listen, you feel lucky. Not only do you have some great weather, because we were freezing our butts off up here this year with the snow and real cold temperatures up in New York, but yeah, Florida was a whole different story. So
you're right, though. It is. We're still cautious, but it's just a different perspective on how we took it, and it actually was, I think, successful. And
yeah.
it made it still, where you're able to live life normally without the burden on your shoulders of thinking that every moment you're going to breathe, something's going to happen. So
Yeah, I think the stats are starting to show that. I guess in the beginning, who really knows, right? It's a
yeah,
gamble, and nobody wants to take that risk. And so you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. But it's starting to look like it was okay. And
just like what you witnessed coming back from Australia. I mean,
oh yeah,
there was probably quite a few people got to witness that, but for those who didn't, I'm sure that was quite an experience to be like, wow, and that what mindset that put you in, like what are we looking forward to? Like, oh crap, like this is really happening in my lifetime. Like what's going to happen? I hope it don't get any worse or stay like this, if anything.
yeah. I'll tell you, those days toward the end, that was a 10-day trip, and towards the end of it, where my wife was like really hounding me to get on the next plane. What are you doing? But we had some commitments and some demonstrations that were being made to some large manufacturers actually down there, and it was some big deals, and we ultimately got the approvals that we were looking for, and I'm glad that we did. But yeah, when the embassy is texting me as a visitor, yeah, the U.S. embassy, because I was registered as an American citizen who registered with the foreign embassy in Australia, so they knew I was there. And I'm getting these warnings, and it was not much longer after that. I mean, within the next week, actually, where they locked down and nobody was coming or going. So it came that close to being stuck. Thank God the world is moving in a better direction, and let's just hope that
Absolutely.
with these vaccines and everything else that's going on to lessen the effect. Although, if I could just, I've talked about another guy that needs some prayers. I have a distributor down in Bastrop, Texas, Scott Bryant. COVID has really rocked his world. Both him and his wife got it, and he's still in the hospital. He went through, and he's in the ICU with struggling. I mean, he's a young dude, but he's had some diabetes issues, and they were having a tough time getting him to be able to retain the oxygen levels that he needs. So talking about COVID, I mean, it hit us in a lot of different ways, and and prayers to everybody who's lost somebody or needs those prayers right now. But this guy's part of my family, so and he's struggling. So hopefully,
yeah, I'll send some prayers out for him for sure. And that's, like you said, for any and all who's gone through the nonsense of this, whatever level it may be.
Yeah, no doubt.
So with that, Rocco, we're coming up on a time frame of keeping right at an hour. So
Sure.
Before we close out, did you have, or do you have any advice on behalf of you or Gliptone that you could put out there into the detail world that could help somebody? Just something short and sweet that would really capture somebody's attention.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I used to read a lot and listen to audio tapes when I was on the road, and Zig Ziglar was one of my mentors back then. and it's an expression that I used to say to my kids, and so I'll put it out there. If you do more than what you're getting paid to do, eventually you'll get paid more for what you do. Remember that, guys.
Say
Do
that
more
one
than
more
what you're
time.
getting paid to do, and eventually you get paid more for what you do. Go that little bit extra. And I'm not going to bore you with all the different things I've seen over the years, but little tricks and things like and tips of contributing a little extra. Guy's got change left in his cigarette, his coin thing. Maybe polish his change, so he gets back in, he sees his coins are polished, or keep some polished coins on your rainy days and then switch out the change, or anything like that, really, that could make a difference. And one other thing, actually, if you're on the job and you're new in this business, right? If you're new in the detailing side of the business, make sure at the end of a year, you got 52 weeks of experience, not 1 week experience 52 times. There's a difference. After 5 years, make sure you got 260 weeks of experience. In other words, always be learning, right? Always, let's call that ABL, right? Instead of ABC, always be closer. Always ABL, always be learning. Because the more you learn, the more you contribute to your game, the more you raise the bar for yourself, the more you're going to earn, and more opportunities are going to open for you. Pay attention to guys like Justin, and people that can show you things. If you've got distributors that you can choose from that are coming around trying to sell you product, pay attention to the ones that are going to make a contribution. The ones that when they show up, they're not taking something from you, but they're willing to give something, right? And if that guy's product is 50 cents a gallon more or whatever, you know what? Think about it. Maybe it's not such a big deal. If that guy's going to contribute to your future, if he's going to teach you some stuff and help you make money, right?
There's no dollar on that.
It's a big deal. So, yeah.
I like that. 100% agree. That's good stuff. Well, Rocco, also, how do they find any information on Gliptone? Give us some sources, some platforms.
We've got a Twitter account. You can follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Gliptone. Just look for us out there. There's several of our distributors that have their Gliptone handles. I think we're Gliptone_USA. My European Gliptone distributor, he's based in the UK, but he covers all of Europe. They got a large training facility in roughly the Liverpool area. Anybody who's in the UK or in Europe want to come visit those guys, check out their website. They're always doing educational stuff as well. So just keep an eye on Gliptone.
Your website for the US, what is it exactly?
It's gliptone.com.
Okay.
www.gliptone.com.
Awesome. I always ask just in case.
Especially if you're in the detailing business, and follow us and really kind of, especially the next couple of weeks, pay attention to what we're doing with this decontamination wash process. It's going to be something that I think everybody's going to want to at least try out for themselves.
Oh yeah.
And see if it'll help them, and I think it will. We think it will.
I'm excited about that. That's sounds interesting, unique, and makes me anxious because it's like, what could it be? What could it be? That's the little teaser that you have out there. So
it's coming soon, man.
So from the relationship I've had with Rocco, your brother, your team, your family, it's been awesome over the years. And I've had times where I've had a lot of personal time with you guys, and the team, everything you said, it is 100%. The integrity is there, and the products are solid. So if you're not familiar with Gliptone, definitely look up their website, figure out a local distributor, get your hands on it, try it. And then, their distributors and their team of everybody at Gliptone is more than happy to help you and get you in the right direction on answering any questions. And at shows, if you do go to shows and you're one that does attend shows, especially like SEMA, go meet these guys. Go meet Rocco. They are personable, and they're here to help. So, again, thank you for everything you've done in the industry, and of course with Gliptone as well, and making it the silent giant that it is. And thank you for being on and being, episode or podcast number 20 for the Reflection Artist Live, because this is all new to us, and hopefully we can have you on again in the future as we grow with this podcast as well.
That'd be great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rocco. And I'm going to go ahead and sign us out, and I will, I'll talk to you and we'll touch base in regards to that decon product that you're talking
Perfect.
about. So I'll talk to you later.
Perfect.
Thanks, Rocco.
You're welcome. Take care.
Take care. And thanks everybody for watching.